while this is a massive milestone for Cardano, what do I think is going to happen to the price? Nothing. But yeah, hopefully everyone's having a great week. Hopefully everyone's had a good few weeks, especially with the market and where it's at the moment. It's been crazy. It's been good. We had a little bit of a bear trap today, which was exciting to see. It looked like we were going to have a full-on correction at one stage, and turns out that didn't happen. So I'm happy about that. It's still not too late for it to still pull back a little bit, but it looks like we are entering into somewhat of a consolidation period. Whether it's probably going to be a relatively short period, but yeah, nonetheless, I think it's going to maybe last maybe a day or two more. Maybe it's just going to continue going up. Who knows? But as far as I'm concerned, we are definitely in a bull market right now. And we're seeing that with prices. Even though your cryptos like Bitcoin and Ethereum aren't doing much right now, they're sort of just moving in a relatively flat line. That's fine. Alts are where it's at right now. We still do have some nice growth with regards to the core cryptos, and as long as it just keeps this steady growth, I want to say slow, but there's nothing really slow about it right now. It is rather quick moves. Then I think everything should be good. But yeah, otherwise I think the star of the show these past few days definitely has to be Cardano. It's, I think, one of the only mainstream ones to actually overtake its previous all-time high and start pushing to new all-time highs. And it looks like we did get a little bit of a pullback over the last 2 days. Just before it touched that $3 mark. It came relatively close. But I did expect a slight pullback there. I even mentioned it in one of the conversations I had with someone in the comments. They basically said, good call on the Cardano trade. And because I received quite a lot of criticism about taking profits in Cardano and sort of reopening the position to get all the copiers in sync. So I received quite a lot of backlash there. But listen, I mean, I want exposure to Cardano long term, and this is a long-term trade. Yes, it might be up 6% now. It was up 12% a day ago. But whether this goes to, say, 15-20%, or whether it drops down to like -5 to -10%, I don't care. This is a long-term position. It always has been a long-term position. I just needed to make some moves in order to secure profits for copiers and make sure everyone's up to sync. So we've done that now, and I'm happy to just sit on my hands with Cardano. Obviously, if it does something stupid like skyrockets to $5 within the next 2 days, I'm going to take more profits and likely start lowering the overall exposure quite a bit. But for now, I'm sort of expecting to continue to see this type of these types of ups and downs. Not really expecting anything too hectic at the moment. It obviously is possible for something crazy to happen both directions, but I think it is hopefully going to be relatively safe as a long-term position. So if you're expecting any sort of instant gratification on this trade, yes, we got it, but I didn't expect to get it. I did actually kind of expect the price to drop a little bit, but Cardano is one of those assets, and especially with everything that's happening right now, you'd rather be in it rather than out of it. Right now, the way I look at it is, yes, it can easily drop 10 to 20%, but it can also just as easily go up like 40 to 60 to 80 to 100%. It's definitely not out of the question, and the upside potential is just so much greater than the short-term downside, and that's the reason why I'm so confident in this position as well. If you go to my history, my trade history, you'll see that I closed every single buy position in ADA on the 19th. So this was in order to take profit, because I had an average profit of around 80% on ADA, and the overall exposure was just way too high. I don't want that high of an exposure on eToro. It's just too risky. And the other issue you sort of run into as well, and it's the reason I didn't sort of do a partial close or just close some positions, is it creates a massive copy sync issue, especially with all the new copiers that have been joining over the past few days. If they are now joining, they join based on their initial invested value and not the actual current value of the position, which I think is kind of silly. I wish there was an option. I feel like I sort of go on about this every stream, but I wish it was based on the current market value, or at least you guys could choose whether you wanted it based on the current market value or then the invested value, or if I could say set a copy preference or something on my side, because I would do it based on the current value then, and then I would never really need to do like massive trades like this where I'm completely closing the position and reopening it. It does result in slight increased fees, but it is completely negligible in the long run, due to the fact that a lot of people don't even have exposure to most of the position. So they, by the position going up, they're making back those fees and more anyway. That's sort of my justification for doing it too. I do give these things a lot of consideration, and I don't just sporadically close and open trades. I did a similar thing with Google as well. It was sitting at a very, very high profit. Obviously also resulting in new copiers not getting the full copy sync. So these are just some of the measures I do take. Overall, I lowered the Cardano position by about 50%. And like I said, that's just to maintain a well-balanced portfolio. I don't want too much exposure to Cardano, as it is a very, very volatile crypto. I think it will get to a stage where it's sort of more like Ethereum and Bitcoin, where it's a bit more stable. But I mean, like Bitcoin and Ethereum aren't really stable, but what crypto is. So in terms of crypto, I'd say Bitcoin and Ethereum are the most stable. So that's sort of just the logic behind what I did there. Another thing I can chat about with regards to taking profit, a lot of people don't take profit, and the biggest issue that you can face with regards to this, obviously, if you're in a situation where you're happy with that level exposure, fine, don't take profit. But when your exposure to certain assets starts getting a little bit too high, and it does start to reflect in the risk section as well. Let me just find it. So I believe the risk is based on the current value, or no, sorry, it's the exposure that's based on the current value. I don't know about risk. There's not much transparency with what contributes what to risk and so forth. But overall, when certain assets start making up too big of a percentage of, say, the overall cryptos, I do want to just be careful. So that's the main reason for that as well. So there was also some big news with regards to Cardano and Japan. It looks like Cardano is being listed, or has been listed, in Japan. And while this is a massive milestone for Cardano, what do I think is going to happen to the price? Nothing. This has already been priced in. As far as I'm concerned, any type of news like this leading up to it, it's been priced in. I don't think there's all of a sudden now going to be a massive jump in Cardano's price. If there is going to be a massive jump, it's not going to be because of this. It'll most likely be this as a contributing factor to everything else that's also taking place. But it is always a good thing to see. It's always very positive when something like that does happen for the entire industry as a whole. So the more mainstream crypto gets, the better it is for most of us. Well, for those of us who are long crypto at least.